Hello everybody, Nigel here with you, Nigel's Modern Benches. Good morning actually for me, so it's morning here in the UK on Friday the 21st of November 2025. I almost said 6th then, thinking ahead, wishing my life away. So yeah, DPD have just been literally 5 minutes ago, and who's a lucky boy, I've got a big box from Airfix, and this is, as you can see on there, this is the brand new 124 scale Messerschmitt Bf109 G-5 G-6. So here we go. So Airfix have kindly sent out some review samples to for people to have a look at. So I'm not sure who else is getting one. I think Moss, I'm 99.999 recurring % sure that Moss is going to get one. I'm not sure who else. So maybe this will be the first review of this kit you see. Who knows? So without further ado, we're going to get to the bench, which as you can see has been cleared. The bench is completely clear, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to review this, and within however long it takes to edit the video, half an hour, whatever, I'm going to start it. I'm going to video build the whole thing, start to finish. So there won't be a video every day, I wouldn't have thought, but there might be. But and I'll build it following the instructions. I may make a few little tweaks here and there. You know, for example, if they tell you to add a little antenna onto the spine of the fuselage when you put the fuselage halves together, I'll leave that till the end. If they tell you to put the undercarriage legs in before you fitted the wings, I won't do that sort of thing. But there we go. So let's, without further ado, let's get this box over there and get it open. I'm going to open it live on camera. Well, not live, but recorded on camera. And then you can enjoy it with me, the excitement of a brand new kit from Airfix, the knowledge that it's going to be absolutely lovely. Everything all I've seen of this kit is the stuff they sent me, which I shared with you back, what was it, 2 weeks ago now? Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago today, wasn't it? And I've seen Moss's video that he recorded with Dale from Telford. On that note, there are people saying that the Airfix masks that are made by Cartograph don't stay on, they peel off. I can only assume, I've spoken to quite a few people now who haven't had an issue, and me being one of them, I can only assume that there is a dodgy batch of tape that's come into Cartograph. Remember, they'll buy the tape in and then they'll cut them. Because I was talking to Moss yesterday, it hadn't dawned on him, but it dawned on me after looking at that video that he did. If you went to Telford, you would have seen this model all like on the wall, all sprues, and on the fuselage halves they had the masks for the German crosses on there, and they stayed on there all weekend. So I no doubt they were put on there long before the weekend. So there isn't an issue generally, but there could well be a dodgy batch of tape. I've certainly got Tamiya tape. Well, I've thrown it away now. I bought some 6mm Tamiya tape. I generally buy 3 or 4 at a time, and some of them just don't stick like the others. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to stop waffling, talking about masks later, and let's get this thing on the bench. Okay, so here we are. I've just realised I've started cutting the box open. Well, I've cut the box open before I put the camera on. What an idiot. So there we go. I haven't removed this from here. It looks like it's been opened, because you can see we've got clear tape on here, which has sealed it from India. And then we've got this brown tape over. So it looks like it's been opened by someone at Airfix. Maybe they've put the additional masking set in here for me. I hope they have, because I want that so I can mask the internals of the canopy. Anyway, let's get this out of its box. Here we go. You can see the beauties coming out here. So we have, would you look at that? My wishes came true. Oh, Dale, you're a star. Thank you, mate. Unbelievable. So you just heard me say that on the camera, and my wish came true. So there we go. We have the masking set with it. So now I can mask the internals of the canopy, because this has standard canopy, rear section, exterior, yeah. So now we have the interior parts of the canopy. So that's another review there. So here we have the model in front of us on the bench, and what a beauty. Lovely, lovely artwork. Got the B-17s and the Tempest, or whatever that is, coming here, and then we've got the 109s head on for the attack. So Side of the box here, or the kit number by the way, is A17003, should you want to go and order yourself one, and it's a Bf109 G-5 or G-6. What's very clever about this model is the schemes. More about that in a second. So, coming on the side of the box here, you can see we've got some CAD images, and we can see we've got the engine there, we've got machine guns, we've got the engine with the cowlings open, we've got the cockpit there, and then we've got, I can't see this because of the glossy paper, you've got a view underneath looking at the drop tank and the undercarriage and everything. I'm just wondering, does it have vinyl tyres? I hope not, but they look black there. So this tape, if you're careful with it and you don't go too fast, it should peel away nicely. Okay, so I think what we'll do is just cut the bottom off, because if I try and take the bottom off nicely, it's going to rip the cardboard. So what we'll do is we'll cut the bottom off, just like so, and we'll remove it from the box on the sides. So here we've got some words about caution, health and safety, you know, don't feed it to your dog and stuff like that. We've got cartograph decals, which is something that Airfix don't really shout about. They always put this little label on there. But Airfix cartograph decals are the best decals you can get, I think. So you can see here, it's designed and tooled in 2025, decal schemes and pack design 2025. It's made in India. That's, you know, people will be saying it's a shame it's not made in the UK. Yes, it is a shame it's not made in the UK, but if you remember with the Spitfire Mark 9, when that was originally released, they couldn't keep up with the original demand. So whether they started production too late or what, I don't know, but that may be why they've stayed with India. Typical Airfix, this is very clever what they do. Some people ask, you look at the side of the box, you look at the front of the box, why do they print it down here upside down? It's so you can go like that and you can see it. So we have no less than 5 schemes in here. So we have the first 3 schemes, very cleverly, they are all the same aircraft. Okay, so this is the aircraft as the Germans had it when it was flying for the Luftwaffe. Then it was captured, and the Allied forces, Americans, whatever you want to call them, they put their markings on it, covered up the swastika, and basically did their thing. I think they repainted underneath or something as well, I can't remember. Oh no, that's the Qatari one, isn't it? But there's some red flashes on as well, so it's very attractive. This is probably the one I'll do. Then that same aircraft was handed over to the British, where the RAF painted it with a yellow underside and its grey and green camouflage, and put roundels on it. So there you go. And then these two here, these are 2 different airframes. So this one is a G6 and this one is a G5 from February 44, and this one's from August 44. So there we are. You've got some words there you can read about the aircraft. If you want to pause, freeze frame, whatever, then you can read it there. And then they've got the suggested humble paint numbers for the different versions and everything. So there we are, and it's a skill level 4, and we've got 4 flying hours on the box. So the tape on this side looks to be better glued down. So I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to turn the camera off. I'll get this tape off of here, and then I'll be back. Right, so here we go. This is the exciting part. This is the first opening of the box. So here we can see we have individually bagged sprues in a box which is packed full of goodies. So what have we got in here? We've got the clear sprue on the top, which is good, individually wrapped and in another bag, in with another sprue, sorry. And then we've got these sprues here. We've got wing sections. As you can see, it's not too big in 24 scale. We've got here with the fuselage, we've got sprues in with the fuselage on the front side. I just hope they haven't done any damage with scratches or whatever. But yeah, you can see it's not all just put in one bag, and it's beautifully packaged. And this is what I'm trying to get to, is the instructions and the decal sheet and the colour callouts, which are all in the bottom of the box. And as you can see, the decal sheet is beautifully placed inside the instruction manual for protection. And it's nice to see we have a paper manual that's not glossy. That's cool. That makes reviewing a lot easier. Thank you very much, Airfix. So here we have our instruction manual, a massive decal sheet, which is just going to be beautiful, which is absolutely plastered in stencils, as you can see. So that's very nice. So we'll put that to one side for now. And then we have the masking set that comes with the kit, so we'll have a look at that in a minute. And then we've also got the instructions and all our colour callouts. So Again, we'll look at that in a minute. So first of all, as usual, we'll go through the instruction manual. It's going to be a long one, this one, I think. I can just feel it coming. So here we have beautiful artwork on the front, as I say, all nice and matte. So it's great for reviewers. So coming over the page, we have more information about the aircraft. It could well be the same as what's written on the side of the box. And then we've got that in English, French, and all sorts of different languages going around here. And then we've got the general sort of study drawings and practice assembly before cementing parts, basically dry fit. Not appropriate for children under 36 months of age due to the presence of small detachable parts. If you're giving one of these to a 3-year-old child or a 2-year-old child, there's something wrong with you. There we go. And then here we've got all the assembly icons. These are going to be carried through the instructions, so nice to sort of learn and memorize those. And then coming into the page, we've got some scheme histories, which is unusual. I haven't seen this before. So we have the first 3 options here. These are all the same work number, 15270. I'm going to be doing that one, which is a G-6 trop. So there we go, very, very nice indeed. And then cowling interior colours. So Messerschmitt and Weiner and Erla. So you need to do some research and see which is which. See which one of these is that one and which is Erla. I think this is the Erla. And these others are all Messerschmitt. I'm not sure. But check these descriptions here and it'll tell you. So here you can see that we can have the aircraft built on its undercarriage with everything closed up, or we can have it built on its undercarriage with everything opened up. They haven't showed it there, but you can also have these cannons opened up to display inside. We've got engine colours here and descriptions and decal numbers, which is really, really nice. So these are all the decal placements. Somebody's been looking at TACOM instructions, haven't they? And who else does this as well? I think it's Zucchimura, isn't it? So it's nice they all sort of get ideas from each other, because if they all put all their ideas together, we end up with absolutely amazing manuals like Qatari produce. So there we go. You got all the descriptions of what all the parts are. And I was thinking there were colour callouts, but there aren't. But you can see there are colours there. So here we've got the assembly engine assembly. When building this model with the engine cowlings open, follow steps 1 to 60. Bloody hell. On pages 8 to 12 and miss out 61 to 86. So basically we are going to build the engine, or if you are not building the engine, to have it just displayed without the engine, then you are going to build this is going to be with the cowling shut. So you're going to build the cylinders and the actual block, so you can't actually excuse me coughing, you can't actually have the engine on display next to the model. They don't sort of give you a dummy engine, unless of course there's 2 of these, G16, G17. No, you're actually using the parts that you use to build the engine. So so that's your dummy engine sort of thing. It's just basically the basic core of the engine just to support the propeller. So here we have the engine going together. So we have the main block. Remember, this engine is sort of upside down, it's inverted. So there's the, as it would be, sump going on the top of the engine there. And then we've got cylinder heads coming down here. We've got the spinner going on the front and the gear case. And then we've got some greeblies going on here. Fuel injection parts, water pump and everything bit on the front here. Bits of greeblies, all going together, all lots and lots of little bits and pieces. We've got the supercharger there. And then we've got the intake manifold here. That's all going together in parts and then dropping down on the engine. As usual with Airfix, very, very clear, very simplified instructions. Very easy to understand, very nice. You can see here little bits and pieces going on here. And there we go, all coming together. Engine bearers going on, giving you all the colours here. 56, which is aluminium or steel, isn't it? 240, which is probably going to be RLM02. I won't be using Humbrol paints for mine. And then we've got the exhaust going in, looking at the got the weld seams shown on them, so hopefully they're moulded that way. And then we've got the shields going over the top. And then oil pipes going in, water pipes, whatever they are. all going in, all the bits and pieces of systems, and it's going to be a very, very detailed little engine. And then oil tank, and then lots and lots. They're telling you, referring you to that page 7 for the decal placement and everything. And then this is looking like a water part or something. And then more pipework going over the top, and you can see it all here shown in red. So that's very nice indeed. I'm assuming this is going to be outer metal work, so you may want to leave that until you've got it all painted and everything and fit that after, but it goes onto the engine last, so it looks like there's no reason why you can't leave it off for now. Then this is the dummy build of the engine. As you can see, it's the same thing again, but without all the greeblies. And then here we've got the cockpit details, so this is very nice indeed, beautifully done. This is probably Airfix's best ever instruction manual, and I'm only into page 15. So this is the instrument panel layout. So you've got for the 4 versions there, and then there's for the late, and then you've got the a description of what all the bits are. This is all the decal placements. Very, very nice indeed. So I'm assuming these are going to be straight on decals, unlike what Airfix have done in the past with decals on the back. So once you've done these, go over the glaze and give them a glossy look. And then we've got all the details down the side of the fuselage, all the details down the port side of the fuselage there. We've got the fuel line going over the top here with the clear bit in the middle, and then the gun sight and everything. And here we've got the belts being shown. They're probably injection molded plastic, but we can thin those out and make them look really realistic. I think I've missed a page there. Okay, so I clear my throat then. Right, so we've got the seat going together here. Now the belts are made of plastic, but they are not moulded in, so you don't have to remove them or anything, because you don't have to use them and you don't have to remove them, but you can use them if you want to thin them out, and they'll look lovely. We've got to drill some holes in here in the back of the cockpit. We've got some holes in the floor, so that's only for certain versions. And then here we've got the that panel going into the floor, and then all the bits and pieces, rudder pedals going in. There should be some straps over the top of those if you want to add them with some masking tape or something. And then you've got the seat base going in, and then we've got this piece here, whatever that may be. And then we've got the control column going in, all the painting instructions and decal placement there for the control column. And then here we've got the cover that's going over the back of the cannon. And then here you can see, as I said earlier, it looks like we're adding, or you're drilling those holes for the antenna. So it looks like there's 2 there. It looks like you're going to drill one of them. I'm not sure, but they're telling you to see page 42. So this is one model you really need to familiarise yourself with and know what you're doing for your options, and perhaps make some little notes, because you could easily mess up, because you've got 5 different options. Like for instance here, this is only for E, but then this one they're telling you to refer to step 113. So not quite sure what they're for. You may not need them. Here's the trim tab here going on, trim wheel going on the side. With the chain and everything there, looking beautifully detailed. Give that a nice coat paint of steel, and then give it a nice black wash. It will look absolutely lovely. And then we've got all these little bulkheads and stuff going. This is for the tail wheel by the look of it. Bulkhead and internals for the tail wheel. And then coming over the page here, we're adding the cockpit floor assembly into the side of the fuselage like so. And then we've got some drilling to do, or cutting out some bits and pieces if you're going for open canopy. So once again, you need to know, are you going open, are you going closed, which canopy you're using. The locations may be different, I doubt that they are. And then we've got that panel going in the top there, and then we're adding the belts. Now this panel you would think goes in after, but you're going to have to add it now because it goes back into the fuselage there. And then we've got some more drilling to do here. We've got some painting to do. And I'm not sure what they're telling us here, to shave away something for closed canopy or for open canopy on 4 options, and on closed canopy. Okay, so I'm not sure what this is telling us, but it looks like for A, B, C and E you're going to shave away this plastic here, and then for D, for closed canopy only, you're going to shave away that. So is that saying that if you're doing D you don't do this bit? I'm not sure, but that's something we'll have to work out during the build. Pipework going in here, oxygen hose and everything going in. This cockpit is very complete, very, very nice. Fuselage halves coming together, and then we've got some panels here to remove. So you're removing that one if you're doing version D, and you're removing that one if you're doing version A, B and C. So obviously if you're doing E, they both remain. Then we've got the that's the camera cover, isn't it? That was talked about in the Qatari kit there. I think that's the camera cover, is it? Oh no, that's the fuselage. What are you talking about? Yeah. Anyway, check your references, make sure it's all correct. Then you've got the fuel line going in here, so hopefully this is a clear part. It looks like it is. Or when it's a clear part, it's in a black circle. And then here we've got the instrument panel going in, just like the Qatari kit. We've got one for a late version and the other one for the early ones. Remember, the Qatari kit is a K4. This is a G5/6. Instrument panel dropping down on there. And then this closing panel going in the rear. Okay, so you can have that door open or you can have that door closed. So you've got C10 and C16 or C9 with it closed. So you may wish to have that open. That's obviously a little stowage area so the pilot can keep his bits and pieces in there. So we may have with the canopy open and have that down. But most people I think would have that closed. And then here we've got for version D, we have a different panel again. And that one is only available closed. But they're saying here A, B, C. Okay, so it's just showing these greeblies going on here for A, B and C. As I say, this is very complicated with all these different options. Main spar going in, you're bringing the wings together just like you did on the Spitfire, building up the bottom of the wing. And then you're going to add these ribs. So hopefully that will all go together nicely. And then we're going to start building up the internals of the undercarriage bays. Building them up like that. And then you can use the wing as a template to assemble those pieces and then drop them down in. Remember, these are canvas stitched, I think. And then coming over the page, we are looking at the other undercarriage bay now. And then we're going to add the inners of the forward, the leading edge slats. These apparently are automatic, so they will automatically spring open when they're on the ground. So they would only be retracted in flight. I don't think they were manually operated. If I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments below. So we're going to drill some holes here if we're using the cannons. So we've got A, B, A. I mean, this is, you're going to really need to do some checking out on your references. And we've got some detail here to be removed for version C, D and E. You're going to fill them. And then we got the upper wing, or the lower wing coming onto the upper wing. So sorry, I said that was the lower wing, but that was the upper wing we were building. And then you're bringing the wing together with the fuselage. So this has got a nice positive location. And hopefully we've got a separate fairing, so that'll be a nice, easy way to hide the wing joint. Building up the tail planes. Looks like we've got only one set of tail planes. And you're going to put your elevator in there. It can be positioned, glued in position, and it can be a maximum of 33 up or 34 down. Then we've got the rudder coming together, and I'm not sure actually here if you do have to glue that. It may be a case of you can put a little bit of friction in there. You can have it movable, posable, and then the rudder here is going to be posable as well because you've got the hinge there. And then here we've got the base of the undercarriage legs going in, so it's going to be nice and strong. Telling you to remove that little ejector tab there, and then you do the other side here. There are three build options for the radiator and wing flaps. Refer to the diagrams below and choose either option X, Y or Z or Z. So you've got all the different options here. So you've got radiator flap closed, wing flaps retracted, radiator flap open, wing flaps retracted, radiator flap open, wing flaps lowered. I think that's the one I'd go for. And then you're going to build your radiator here accordingly. You've got undersurface colour going inside the wings here. It's very much like the Qatari kit, isn't it? But of course it will because they're both 109s. And they both look brilliant. And then here we've got the mechanism here for the side of the flap here. So that's the flap being closed. And then you've got the flap closed. Yeah, so flap. So you've got the radiator open, flap retracted. And then here we've got flap down, radiator open. So there you go. So you've got X, Y and Z. Wow, lots and lots to take in on this one, I can tell you. So there we go. So that's that one all done. And then we've got ailerons going together. We've got the little counterbalance weight on there as well, which is nice. We've got the hinges there going in as separate parts. That's going to be fairly fragile. Be careful not to knock those about too much. And then we've got the leading edge slats going in. Excuse me. And then here we've got the bulkhead going together. with the mountings for the guns and everything. I'm not sure if there's ammo boxes in there or what it is, but there's bits and pieces going on. Do not use Q18 and Q21 with the cowlings closed. So it's kind of looking like already you can't build this with the cowls closed with the engine in, you have to have it open. But that's what they said with the Spitfire. I managed to do it, didn't I? So let's see what happens. So the engine is basically going to plug onto there. So you've got that cannon coming through the front of the fuselage, which is part of the fuselage moulding. So it's going to be nice and strong. And you're just going to sit the engine on top of that. When attaching the end assembly, there are 4 important locations to take notice of in the 4 details below. So you can see there, you've got locations here for the engine bearers. You've got the bit where it's meeting the wing fairing, which is part of it there, you can see. And then we've got these pipe connections here going into the bulkhead. This is how all your bulkhead and everything's going to be painted with your guns. And these are your cannon bays here. So very nice indeed. So we've got some pipe work going in here. This is the machine guns going together now, and then they're going to drop down onto the top of the engine. Leave parts Q13 and Q14 out in this deck when building this model with the cowlings closed. So yeah, it's looking like we have to have, if you want it all displayed, you can't have the cowlings closed. So, but we shall see. Right, so coming along here, we have more bits and pieces going to the top. We've got some ammo feed chutes there. Or is that for the ejector chutes? I'm not sure. And then here we've got these big bulges going on the sides here. So these are the side covers. And then you're going to drill holes if you're having the drop tank on version E. And then you're going to add that base piece in there. Hopefully this is all a lovely fit so you don't end up with great big gaps everywhere. And then we've got the radiator going underneath, which is very, very nice. So you can have closed position only. Is that saying you get closed position only? Or is this what you do if you're using closed position? Again, you need to read your instructions. It looks like we get closed position only. When fitting the oil cooler in the open position, see steps. Okay, so this is the open position hanging down. Okay, so that's the oil cooler, that's not the water radiator. So I thought that was the water radiator there. Okay, and then we've got the rest of the undercarriage legs going in here. Putting the wheels together. And here you've got the little blue symbols telling us to use the mast. The first time I've seen that. So again, don't forget you've got this lovely little mask set with the kit, which is very nice. So tail wheels going in there. So A, B, D and E, you're going to have this closed cover. I'm guessing for C, you have nothing at all because there's nothing else for C. So I guess you just leave that off if you're doing version C. Which is the RAF version, isn't it? It's a bit strange. You'd think C would be the same as A and B because it's the same aircraft. Tyres going together here. So that there was the tail wheel. I was thinking that was the main gear. It's not. It's the tail wheel. So we've got main tyres going together there. And are they telling us to use a mask here? No, they're not. I guess they don't give you mask because the wheels are separate. So here's the little sway brace part for the drop tank, but if you're not doing version E, you're not going to be building that, but it'd be nice to have in the spares boss, wouldn't it? And then for version A, you've got that part going in there, and then this is also for version A. So version A obviously has the cannons, okay? So there you go, you can have those open and have the cannon displayed. And again, we've got all this version A, all with the cannons, and then here we've got versions A and B. So we've got like this filter on the intake. So this is the tropical bit. So that's all looking good, version 8. And then C, D and E doesn't have the filter. So it's using the same assembly here, but without this filter in between. So you might want to replace that with a bit of mesh or something. Or just paint it accordingly. And then here you've got that going on. So for versions A and B, again, they're referring you to something else for the painting guide. You've got some holes to drill. So you've got those 2 supports. So that's what that is for. Those 2 holes are for those 2 supports for the extended filter. And then for version C, D and E, you're not having that at all. There's a little loop going in the top. Remember, on certain versions, your antenna is going to go through there. And then we've got the little light at the back. That's nice to see they've made that in clear plastic rather than just have you paint it silver. And then we've got this big antenna going on. I've got a feeling that should be longer on the front, or is that only on the K? I'm not sure. Something we have to look into. We've got a little pitot tube going on here. lights, so they're telling you to colour in behind there, and then put the light on, so you'll have to use white glue to stick that in place. And then we're building up this hub assembly, putting the blades in, and then adding the spinner, putting the propeller onto the front of the engine, and adding the drop tank if we're using it. And then here we're going to build up the canopy. So we've got two different types of canopies here. So we've got the standard and the Erla. I always thought this was high altitude. It's not, it's just a different canopy. So we've got, they're showing you how to mask the canopy here. I would be tempted to fit this before you mask it, and that way, otherwise if you touch it with a bit of like liquid cement and it gets under the mask, it will ruin your clear part and ruin your day. So probably best fit that first and then mask it up when it's on the model. And then you're going to add this onto this armor plating here, and then we've got the rear part of the canopy going in here, and then we've got C-step 255, I'm not sure what for, C-step 253, I'm not sure what for, 255 and 253. Okay, so this is just telling you how to mask. This is where you actually fit them. In fact, I didn't see this page, so I must have, these pages are stuck together. Who misses? So there we go. So there's the cowlings coming together. So this is with the cowlings open, this is with the cowlings closed. As I say, it's looking very much like you can't have the cowlings open, closed with the engine. We've got the nice supports there, which is a nice touch for the cowlings should you wish to go that way. And then we've got the different types of gun sights here. So this is the Revi C12 and this is the Revi 16B. One of these can be swung around, so you might want to pose it in the swung round position. I think it's this one. And then here we've got the rear canopy going on. We've got the armor plate going in the back here. This is to protect the pilot's head. And then here we've got the front screen going in. So this is for A, B, C and E. A, B, C, D has a different windscreen. And then E has a different windscreen again. So we've got R10, R11, R, so we've got three different windscreens in here. Wow. And then we've got armor plate going in here. This is for all versions. We've got decal going on the inside. And then this is so confusing, guys, when you initially look at it on camera. And then we've got, this is version C. This is version E. So is that just with the canopy closed? No. So if you're having the canopy closed, you remove those bits. If you're having the canopy open, they're going to be your nice solid location. Don't forget to put a piece of easy line or something in there to show the cable that holds the canopy open. And very soon I will be reviewing a book from a guy called Gary Boxall, and it's basically how to build the Qatari Bf109 K4. And there's a lot in there about these canopies, so I suggest you watch that review because I'll show you some interesting stuff in there. So yeah, so this is version E. It's got bits and pieces going in the back. That's for version A and B, and then that's having them open. That's what that's all about. Right, okay, so we got there in the end. Right, we've seen all that, and then this is all the masking. So this is masking for all the canopy parts here, masking for the tail wheel. You've got a mask there for that piece that's going on there. Is it called the mono antenna or something? A mono, something like that. I remember from the Qatari. So there we go. So it looks like the glazing is the same on all the canopies. It's just going to be different little features on there because they're using the same masks. So there we go. So that's the instruction manual. Wow, how complicated is that? What a complex little build. What an absolutely gorgeous looking build if you ask me. So let's have a look at the colour callouts and the options available. So there's our stencil guide. So where are we now? So we've got version A, right, so we'll get these out of the way. No, they want to come back. Go away. Right, so we've got version A, which is your Bf109's G6 Trop. So this is in Sicily from early July 1943. But unfortunately, this plane was captured by the Allied forces and they made it into this one. Okay, so you can see this aircraft here has a white band, has a yellow undernose. The spinner has the white band around it. Here they've painted the spinner red. It's still got the yellow underneath the nose. They've overpainted the white band in red. They've overpainted the swastika in red, and we've got red around the roundel here. So very interesting, and you can see there's also witness of the German cross there underneath. So that's how it looked originally, and then that's how it looked after the Americans got hold of it. So there we are. So that's the version I would like to do. And then following on from that, we have version C, which is this one here, which is the RAF version, and this is in the grey and the green scheme. Okay, and underside is painted yellow, so they painted over the whole thing when it got to the UK, and they gave it a British camo with British roundels and everything. So there we are. The aircraft was completely repainted to RAF specification and camouflaged in the day fighter scheme, but with yellow undersurfaces for captured aircraft recognition. However, the cockpit wheel wells and other interior areas appear to have retained their original German colouring. The tropical filter and DF loop were removed, as were the rear undercarriage doors. The access holes under the wings where the MG-151 gondolas were removed in the previous scheme have now been covered up with replacement of the entire panel. So there we go. So it looks like in this one here we're going to have holes in, yes, we've got holes in the wings, and then on this one they've covered them up. Remember, this is the same aircraft, guys. So worth reading all these little notes. They're telling us lots and lots of stuff. Apparently their researcher on this is an absolute mine of information on the 109. So you know, if you're going to disagree with any of this, I'd look twice. Apparently he is absolutely amazing. So here we've got lots and lots of wording. This is version D. So this is another aircraft. So this is it has now got the Erla canopy. And you can see lots and lots of little notes about the aircraft. You're using a mask here if you want to use that instead of the decal. So I think this is the first time, isn't it, a kit manufacturer has put insignia masks in their kit. I mean, it's only a few years ago we started seeing canopy masks, but they've not only given us canopy masks, they've given us masks for the crosses as well, and the nose spinners and everything. So very nice indeed. So that's version C and D. And then finally we have the fifth version. Where are we? Version E, which is very nice indeed. And this is a very nice camouflage scheme, very bright blue, beautiful looking band around the fuselage there. Simple yellow spinner, so that's nice. So very nice indeed. If you want to go down the German route, you'll have to get your aftermarket tail designs, should you want to get them. And then here we have A, B and E. What about C then? Obviously C had the stencils all painted over, so if you don't like stencils, then C's your boy. So A, B and E, these are all the stencils. Remember, I should imagine like that stencil there would probably be painted over because there was a red band around there, wasn't there? So bear that in mind when you're doing version B. So this is all the stencil guide for that one, and then you've got the G-6 stencil guide there. So you've got the hubs for the wheels. Again, we've got the hubs for the wheels there. So yeah, they've really gone to town with their stenciling, Airfix. Thank you very much. It all makes for a beautiful looking model. Don't forget, gloss coat before you put your decals down, and then you're guaranteed to get no silvering. So here we have a beautiful decal sheet, and as you can see, it's going to be absolutely awesome. They haven't left a millimetre spare on here. Absolutely incredible. These German crosses here have got carrier film all the way through the middle of them, so you may wish to cut them out and use them separately, or as I say, I think there's masks for those, or is it masks for those? So we've got the common A, B and E, and then common A and E. Again, all these versions make things a little complicated, but once you get your head around it, it will be clear as day. So here you've got common stencils for version D, and then here we've got common stencils for versions A, B and E. And then this is all your instrumentation. This is probably going to be placards for the undercarriage bays and everything there. And then you've got that part there for the drop tank. Kinda bomba. There we go, version D there. So yeah, you're going to end up with a lot of spare 1/24 scale stencils, I can tell you that. And remember, if you're doing version B, you're going to be putting those crosses on and then putting these on top. So these are looking lovely, actually. They look very, very nice indeed. And unlike the version in the Qatari kit, these are all very neatly done. The ones in the Qatari kit are all hand painted by the ground crew. So there we go. Right, so that's our decals dealt with. Let's have a look at some plastic. Sorry, before we look at plastic, we will look at the masks. And here we have our mask set. This is the one that comes with the kit. So you can see we've got canopy masks here. These are the canopy masks for the early canopy. We've got masks here for the fuselage sides. Okay, and then you've got the front windscreen here, tail wheel. We've got the spinner masks there. They'll be really handy to keep for future projects. Absolutely gorgeous. So I don't know why you can see those, but there they are. And these are also made by Cartograph. So I think this is a first for Airfix, isn't it? Including them in a kit. I think it is. And then you've also got this mask set here, which I will do a separate review on, so that I can promote that product for them, because they've kindly sent it to me and I was going to buy it anyway. Right, so as I say, now we're going to have a look at some plastic. Okay, so we have the sprues as they're coming out of the box. So they're in no particular order, they're just as they come out of the box. So here we have a bag with 2 sprues in. These bags are massive, but they are folded over, so the sprues don't get to move around very much, and they are pretty much made to the size of the box, so that's good. So we'll cut the end of the bag off here, and then we've got in this, we've got 1 sprue, and we have our clear sprue separate. So we'll have a look at the clear sprue in a minute. So you'll be pleased to know we've got the usual modern dark grey Airfix plastic, not the white or the green. So hopefully we'll have a 100% bloody good kit here. So here we have an instrument panel. I'll give you a close-up in a minute, don't worry. We have an instrument, let's bring this light overhead like so. We have an instrument panel, we have part of the floor. This is looking like part of the engine bulkhead. This is like part of the gun mountings. And then we've got the cowlings here. So we've got different cowlings for different versions. You can see they have a different shape here on the back of the gun bay. This is sort of squared off, this one's radiused. We have guns here, so we'll have to drill the end of the barrels out on there. That's no problem. No doubt people will want to replace these with metal barrels, being at 24 scale and everything. And I'm sure Airfix are fully aware of that. So we've got trim wheel here. We've got some gun chutes there. It's either eject chutes for the spent ammo, or it's the chutes feeding ammo in, I'm not sure. But it'll all become clear when we build it. We've got all our bits and pieces here. This is all very, very cleanly moulded. We've got rudder pedals there, looking very nice indeed. The aftermarket are going to be all over this with bits and pieces of photo etch and straps and seat belts and all sorts. So just wait for the pile on. So we have beautiful detail. I'm looking over now and you can see that on the inside we have internal detail on our cowlings, but we do have ejector pin marks in there, but they look to be extremely shallow. They'll probably just sand out. That, you know, that's, you can't blame Airfix for that. That's something that's going to happen with a part that size. You're going to have ejector pin marks. That's it. But yeah, very, very nice indeed. So I'll give you a close-up look so you can see your instrument panel there. That's the early type, I'm assuming. Oh no, this is the Q sprue, so I'm thinking this is the late one. This is going to be the odd sprue that you probably only get in this model, I think, because it's Q. There you go, you can see all the lovely, beautiful rivet detail on those cowlings. Very, very nicely done. Absolutely gorgeous. You can see there's the side of the, that's the front of the fuselage, if you like, before it meets the cowling. These bulges look suitably large as well. I know when Revell did theirs, they got the bulges far too small. So there we go. So that's sprue Q. And then next we have another great big bag. This time they've sealed it up. I've got some fluff or something there. So great big bag. It's been folded over, and then they've sealed it up so that the sprues are all sort of held in fairly firmly. So we can see here, I think this is going to need a wash actually, it feels quite oily. So we can see here, this is frame C. So you can see we've got the rear of the canopy bulkhead here. You've got the open one and the closed one, and there's also an alternative one which I believe would have been on that other, yeah, that's the Q sprue. So you've got the other one there, look, you can see. Okay, so yeah, I think that Q sprue is for the version D, the odd one, I think. So we've got rudders here in halves, but you've got beautiful detail on there with the stitching and everything. Now, unfortunately, I've just noticed here this has been broken, so that's got broken off, but that doesn't matter one iota because that is down inside the fuselage behind this closed door. I wouldn't put that door open, so that doesn't matter, but it's unfortunate that it's got broken. I'm just hoping that that got broke before it went in the bag with the rest of the sprues, because otherwise that means the fuselage could well be broken. But this is what happens when you put multiple sprues in boxes together, in bags together. They need to be bagging individually. In fact, looking at that, quite probably happened before it even got put in the bag, because otherwise all these you've got these Z pins on the back here. They've been bent over, but they're not snapped off. So that probably happened beforehand. But you can see on there we've got another instrument panel. We've got parts of the floor, these back panels. There's the rear bulkhead. There's the rear fin, not the rear fin, the fin. You can't have a front fin, can you? There's an engine bulkhead there. There's some cockpit sidewall detail. And the detail on there looks absolutely gorgeous. This could be the first review you see of this kit. If you want any more close-ups or whatever, let me know and I will do a follow-on. I'll make a list of your requests and go from there. But yeah, very, very nice. Shame that piece is broken, but it doesn't matter. If there has to be a piece broken in the kit, that's the one I choose, because that's the one that's going to be invisible. So here we have more cockpit floor parts. We've got some tailplane with beautiful recessed rivet detail, very sharp rivet detail on there. That's going to pick up a wash beautifully. And then here we've got the elevators, and they are molded as one piece. They look a bit funny on the camera, but all that is swirl marks in the plastic. It's not all shrunk and everything, but it wouldn't really matter if it was, because it's covered in fabric anyway. Okay, and then here we got, I think this is the underbelly, isn't it? This is the underside of the engine, and there's the front of the cowling. So that's your starboard tailplane there, and your port tailplane. You can see beautifully marked with the SB and the P. That's the underside oil cooler there. Very nice. And then here, this is a biggie we all want to see. This is the fuselage halves for the Bf109G. So you can see we have all the detail in here inside. Look at that, they've got the panel on the outside, and then you've got internal panel detail in there. So this is up inside the wheel bay. You may just want to deal with that ejector pin mark there. It depends how much you're going to be looking up in there. And on all the versions except the UK one, the doors are closed anyway. So we've got some detail there inside the front of the cockpit, back of the engine bay, whatever you want to call it. You've got some more lovely detail there. You can see that's gorgeous on there. And then we've got some ribbing detail in here, some stringers. Very, very nice. And then on the side, you've got the beautiful panel detail. These rivets may not be visible on the real thing. Have a look at your references, but it's nice that Airfix have put them in there. On many references you see, you can't see anything here because they filled them over and sanded them on certain models. So as I say, check your references. There's the cannon here, you can see sticking out the fuselage, so that's your solid mounting for your engine to go onto. Remember, the cannon was came out the middle of the spinner. It worked through the engine. So there we go. Very, very nice indeed. We've got some beautiful panel detail here on these excess panels. Very nice indeed, and it's slide molded as well to get the detail around the bottom, which is very nicely done. We've got some raised rivet detail there. On that panel there, it's raised, which is gorgeous. And yeah, it's nice to see that they've slide molded it to get the detail. These bits here are not slide molded, so you may just want to come in with a pin and just carry the detail on. But as I say, I'm not even sure if you'd be able to see it in real life anyway. And remember here, when you glue these fuselage halves together, there is a seam. On the real aircraft, there is a seam along there, and there is a seam along there. And what Gary suggests in his book is you take a knife and you scrape. So if you can imagine, I'm not going to do it on the model part, if you can imagine this is that, what you do is you come along with a knife at 45 degrees and you scrape the plastic so that it chamfers the edge, and then when you put it together you get a definite panel line down the centre, and it's supposed to be there. And the same on the underside of a Stuka, I believe, has the same. So there we go, that's our fuselage halves. So here we've got another bag with sprues together. Again, it's been sealed up close to the sprue so they can't all rattle around too much. But, I really do wish Airfix would go down the individually bagging. Having said that, if we don't see any damage, then hey ho. So here we have the wings, the upper halves of the wings, looking beautiful. Again, we've got this lovely rivet and panel detail. We've got some raised detail on there. And there's some raised detail there as well. The hinge detail is raised. There's some raised rivet detail there. But beautiful. Check your references. Apparently these could have been made out of aluminium or wood, depending on what they were. But yeah, beautifully done. Tiny, tiny sink mark there, which will take absolutely nothing to fill. We've got our lovely undercarriage bay detail there. That is raised. It's raised rivet detail in the undercarriage bay, which is very nice. You can see that the detail on the wing, got the bulges there. The detail on the wing is lovely. Got that band around there, that's raised. Everything else is recessed. But it's beautiful in this lovely Airfix plastic that they use now. Very, very nice indeed. And then here we've got this absolutely solid, look at that main spar, you can't go wrong. That is absolutely solid. And then we've got the lower wing section there. So we've got our ailerons and our flaps, slats. We've got the slats internal and the slats external. And then we've got some, this is the back of the, these are the where the exhausts are going to go. And that's the front of the leading edge of the wing there. We've got some ribs there for the wings. And then we've got undercarriage bay parts there. Again, you can see on that undercarriage bay part there, it's raised detail. Very, very nicely done. And then you've got internals here. We've got ejector pin marks, which are going to have to be filled. You can see everything is beautifully marked. So you know which, when you cut it off the sprue, you can't get lost and get confused about which bit's which. So yeah, very nice. You've got the fabric covered ailerons there, and then you've got the metal flaps there. That lower wing has got all the screw detail. These are screw panels here. I'm guessing we're going to have to cut some holes in here if you're doing version B, because you've got the drilled holes there for the, it looks like what they've done here is given us, in this panel, they've given us holes to drill so you can change it and then cut it out and sand it. That's the hole that's going to be left behind when they remove the cannons on version B. And then you've got holes here to drill for other bits and pieces that need to be fitted there. So very, very nice. There's access panels there. It's lovely. It's bloody lovely. Right, and then here we have the underbelly of the fuselage. Again, you can see the oil on here. It's it definitely needs a wash. We've got the underside of the wing there, same as the other side, beautifully done. And they've got this underbelly here with all this raised detail. Give that a lovely dry brush and oil streaking and stuff. It's going to look great. And then we've got slats, flaps, ailerons, just like the other side. We've got the alternative engine parts here. Not exactly sure what the difference is, but we can see we've got them there. They look exactly the same. 16 and 17, 17 and 18. You have to be careful not to get them mixed up. There's the difference. I can see it. It's here. There's the difference there. Okay, if you look at that one, this one you can see that just comes along, and this one's got this sort of angled piece there. So that's the difference. Okay. So you need to have your wits about you with this model, guys, because there's lots of alternative parts. And then we've got the interior of the undercarriage bay there again. We've got raised riveting on there. What a lovely model this is. We are 109 spoilt at the moment. We've got that beautiful Qatari that I recently reviewed. I'm sorry to keep bringing it up, but it's just such an impressive kit. And then we got this one. And when you look at the price point of the two, this is by far the better value. But if you want 32nd, then Qatari is the better kit. If you want 32nd. So here's the drop tank, which we won't be using. So I'm guessing this is all drop tank stuff. So you just have this one sprue that you can keep in your spares box. You can see that's looking lovely. It's got all the detail on there for the mountings and everything. Really, really sharp and clean. There's the mounting that covers the sway braces. You've got little sway brace parts there. Very, very nice indeed. And then here, obviously, there's going to be lots of versions of this kit, guys, because you can see how the sprue frames are broken down. So we're going to have alternative propellers for a start. So there's the back of the spinner. You've got the 3 segments there that are going to go around the propeller, and then there's the front of the spinner. It's an unusual way of doing it. I've never seen it done this way before, but I'm sure it'll work out great. And then we've got what they've done here is left out this part of the propeller blade because otherwise you get sink marks in it. So somebody probably said, that bloody Nigel bloke, he'll moan if you've got sink marks, do that. So there you go. You know I moan about sink marks all the time. So there we go. Lovely. So that's your hub there. Your blades. Looking very, very nice indeed. You've got detail on the back of the spinner as well, so if you want to display that off the model you can. And then here we have cannon gondolas. So there's the cannons themselves, there's the barrels. They're slide molded so you can get the holes in the ends. And then you've got the actual bodies here in halves. You've got the front of the body there, and then you've got the gondolas pieces there. And then here we have our undercarriage doors, tyres. So we have the option of weight on wheels and not weight on wheels. Is that right? We've got 2 different types of tyre, as you can see there. Okay, they're all weight on wheels. Obviously, because of the way the 109 sits, the inside edge of the tyre will be flatter than the outside edge of the tyre. So that's what I'm seeing there. You can see that will probably go with that one. And then here we've got our wheel centres. So we've got the backs here, which are beautifully detailed. And then we've got the fronts here. We've got 2 different types. And then we've got our tail wheel halves there. Oleos. Main undercarriage legs. Blimey, they're in halves. That's surprising. Where's the other half? Okay, so that's the lower half, and then the upper half is there. So that's going to be a bit of an awkward construction because you're going to end up with a seam line. So you've got to fit this to the wing box and then add this leg on after. That's going to be a bit awkward, but at least it's given us the scale at the bottom end. We'll work it out. We'll work it out. But yeah, beautiful. There's no brake line or anything moulded onto the wheel. We've got internal detail with no ejector pin marks on the doors, which is nice to see. It's kind of looking like that's hollowed out there. We could probably easily put a metal bar in there to add a little bit of strength. But, I'm kind of looking at this already. I'm wondering if we could cut that off, build the undercarriage leg up and put a bar up into the wing. Not sure. But they've obviously designed it for strength, and because the only other way to do it would be to have a solid lump of plastic down here which would have looked like a toy. So they've done it like this to give it its strength. But as I say, it means you're going to be sanding and blending in this seam once all this is fitted inside the wing. Unless you could build up the legs before you... We'll have a look when we do the build. I am going to build this. I am going to build this start to finish, I guarantee you, 100%. And it will take priority. But I must get that air scale bolt and pull Defiant finished as well. Okay, so here we have 2 sprues in the bag. So this is our engine sprue. So you can see here we've got the engine blocks themselves, cylinder heads here, all beautifully done. Engine bearers looking very nice. And then we've got our plenum chamber going around the front here. We've got the fairings. These are going to go over the top of the exhausts. There's your engine front cover. And then we've got this jig for drilling some holes or something I noticed in the instructions. We've got the supercharger there with the blades looking lovely in there. Gear cover for the front. And then we've got some greeblies here. There's their main spinner part there by the look of it. And then here, these exhausts are beautifully done. And yes, they're slide molded. They're slide molded. That's a bit unusual. Why have they done that? They've slide molded them to give that little slot in there, which 2 of them don't have. We've got the weld seam on there, which is really, really nice. We've also got a sink mark, unfortunately. But then the end here that's going to be on show is the sprue connection point. I would have thought they would have made it the other way round so that this was the part that's going to be on show and this is the part that would be glued. But there's obviously a reason why they did it that way. They probably wanted to do it the way I've just suggested. There's a reason why they couldn't. But that's very strange. But at least that the sprue gate is on the surface of the part, so it'll be a case of cutting it off and sanding it smooth. And then I would suggest thinning it out a little. But as I say, the aftermarket will be all over this with 3D exhaust and everything. But they look absolutely fine. And then here we have another engine sprue. So I'm guessing these engine bearers are for the kit when you don't have the canopy open, the cowling open. Because here's the nicely detailed engine bearers. I looked at those and thought they were a bit simple, but I assume there was more bits to add. So here we have some very, very fine details. Just looking how we are for time. It's a long one, this, isn't it? We have an oil tank there. We have parts here for the engine. I think that's the fuel injection system. And then we have, here's our harness for our high tension leads. We've got some pipes here, water, oil, whatever they are. We've got some hoses and stuff there. Another electrical hose there. Lots and lots of greeblies to go on the engine to really dress it up and make it look beautiful. Get some chipping done, get your oil staining and dry brushing and that. It'll look absolutely awesome. We can see there, you can see the detail on these parts is quite stunning. Very, very nice indeed. And then we've got another bag here. This is our final bag of sprues, guys, I'm afraid. So this will be it. So we'll get this one open. Get these out. Notice I'm keeping the bags. I don't just put the bags in the bin because there may be loose parts in them. So here we have actuators for our radiators and everything. I'm not sure what these are. There's an antenna there. There's our counterbalance weights for the ailerons. That looks like a part that goes across the back of the engine bay or the canopy or the cockpit. There's our internal ribbing for the tail wheel. There's the tail wheel doors. Some more actuators here. It's all fine detail parts, all beautifully done, all very nice. Guys, this kit is 100% recommended. You know, if you want to build a 24 scale fighter, this is probably the smallest one. So if you're worried about space, but the detail and the quality of moulding and the instructions and the options available, it's just absolutely beautiful. So here we can see we've got more rudder pedals. Remember we had rudder pedals earlier on. We've got those seat belts there which look lovely, and all we'll do is thin them out and use them. Probably drill through the bottom there where that triangular loop is. Maybe even remake it with a piece of wire if we break it, we'll just see. We've got the lap belts there sitting in the bottom of the seat. As you can see, they're gorgeous. It does need a wash. And then we've got a lovely panel going on the side of the cockpit here. And then we've got our air intake on the side. Remember, this will have a weld seam around it, so you need to replicate a weld seam with a bit of stretch sprue or something. I'll show you that. We've got the filters there for the intake. Now there's two different types. I didn't realise there was two different types in the instructions. We've got our control column there. Is that a short shot or is it broken off? Doesn't look quite right, I'm not sure. But yeah, lovely, beautifully done. As I say, those belts thinned out will be absolutely fine. Painted in a light matte brown and then given an oil wash, whatever, they look absolutely fine. So yeah, very, very nice indeed. You're going to have a lot of parts in the spares box because I can see a lot of parts doubled up. And then finally, we have this one here. This is our clear parts. And these will be gorgeous. Airfix's clear parts of late have been lovely. There we go. Absolutely beautiful. Look at that. So we've got 4 different windscreens. I'm not sure whether there's 4. I remember seeing 3. So we've got little air intakes on the side here. And this one's got one and a thing on the side there. This one's got air intakes on that side and a thing on the side there. Notice I say thing in a technical way. We've got our fuel pipe there, which is lovely to see. They haven't done what Revell done. I keep saying it, Revell. They made this out of clear and they put the sprue connection point there. Why? They put the sprue connection point on the only part that you're going to remain clear. So we've got parts of our gun sights here. We've got our navigation lights. Armour plate there, more armour plate there for the back of the canopy. Very, very nice indeed. Very, very nice indeed. And for clarity, we can just put that over there and you can see that the distortion is 0. Absolutely lovely. Very impressed. So there we go. So that has been a review of the brand new, I'm not even sure if it's available yet, Messerschmitt Bf109 G6 or G5 G6. You've got 5 options. It's beautiful, it's well molded, it's beautifully engineered, and I cannot wait to get stuck in. It is gorgeous, guys. 100% recommended. Get your pre-orders in now. And don't forget, if you pre-order from some places, you'll get a discount for a pre-order anyway. Or you can go over to the Airfix website and order it from there, and you'll probably get yours before anybody that orders it from a shop. So there we are. Very, very nice. At the moment, I'm absolutely flabbergasted. I'm going 10 out of 10. I'm absolutely stunned by how lovely it is. That may change as we start to build it, who knows. I want to check it, see if that was a short shot on that control column or not. So we will have a look and I will let you know. Okay, I've had a look at the instructions and you can see here we have the control column and there's the plastic part. So it's not short shot, it's just a weird shape on the top. I was expecting to see like a loop or something, but not being familiar with Luftwaffe aircraft. So that's absolutely fine. I didn't spot any short shots through the review. If I had have done, I would have pointed them out. If you've seen any, please let me know. But I don't think there are any. And I know that Airfix have been speaking to their kit manufacturer or subcontractor, and short shots has been one of the questions that have been raised. So I think there's been a few bottoms slapped, shall we say. Okay, so anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. It's a beautiful, beautiful kit. Thoroughly recommended. Get yourself one on pre-order. I think I'm going to start building this today because it's gorgeous. All right, see you all soon. Thank you for watching. As I say, any questions, any points you want to raise, anything else you want to see more of, just put it in the comments below and I'll make another video. Bye for now.